Picture this. Dawn outside a dusty Oklasom filling station. A family tightens rope around mattresses, pans, and one tired suitcase. The engine coughs awake. Nobody calls it nostalgia. Not yet. To them, the road is hunger, risk, and maybe California. In 2026, Route 66 turns 100. The birthday will bring souvenirs, parades, restored signs, and plenty of chrome. But the Mother Road was never only a playground. It was a machine that moved people, labor, money, grief, and memory. Route 66 officially began in 1926, when federal officials launched America's first numbered highway system through the Bureau of Public Roads. The route ran roughly 2,500 miles from Chicago to Los Angeles, crossing 8 states and stitching older roads into one national line. That word matters. Stitched. Route 66 was not born whole. It borrowed county roads, state routes, ambition, and asphalt. For 12 years after designation, the highway still had unpaved stretches. It was not fully paved end-to-end until 1938. Before pavement, rain could turn progress into mud. A family might travel all day and gain only a few stubborn miles. The National Park Service notes that Route 66 quickly became a corridor for farmers, merchants, truckers, tourists, and migrants. Then came the wind. It did not arrive politely. It scoured fields, buried fence lines, and turned noon into brown twilight. Across the southern plains, drought, bad farming, debt, and collapsing prices pushed families toward the one thing still moving, the road. John Steinbeck fixed Route 66 in public memory when the Grapes of Wrath named it the Mother Road.
That is also heavy. A mother road feeds, shelters, and sometimes watches children suffer.
Centennial researchers estimate about 210,000 people migrated to California during the Dust Bowl era, a movement often tied to Route 66. The same research complicates the myth. Fewer than 16,000 from the Dust Bowl proper remained in California permanently. So the postcard version is too simple. People came, returned, scattered, adapted, and carried the road inside their family stories. For some, Route 66 meant escape. For others, it meant strangers passing the porch, spending just enough to keep a town alive. The road crossed Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California, tying very different landscapes into one story. Every mile had owners before it had tourists. Indigenous nations, Mexican villages, black neighborhoods, railroad towns, ranches, and farms were already there. The official 2026 Centennial includes native travel programming, a reminder that the highway crosses homelands, not empty scenery. That matters, because roads can erase as easily as they connect. A map line can hide who paid the oldest price. Route 66 also built a new kind of small-town capitalism: cabins, garages, cafes, curio shops, tire patches, iceboxes, coffee refills. The highway did not just carry customers to businesses. It made the roadside itself the business plan. The National Park Service describes Route 66 between 1926 and 1945 as both a transportation route and an economic lifeline. Listen closely, and you can hear the cash register under the romance. Mobility became something ordinary families bought 1 gallon at a time. Women worked this road too. They cooked, cleaned rooms, kept accounts, pumped gas, managed cabins, and sometimes owned the whole place. The Centennial program includes projects focused on women's stories along Route 66, widening the memory beyond drivers and road builders. Those stories change the road. Suddenly, the legend is not only wheels and engines, it is laundry, ledgers, night shifts, and courage. For black travelers, the open road was never fully open. Freedom behind a windshield still met locked doors in sundown towns. They planned carefully: safe rooms, safe meals, safe fuel. The romance of spontaneity belonged more easily to people protected by whiteness. By 1938, full paving made Route 66 more reliable, turning a rough-stitched path into a true all-weather highway. That reliability changed everything. Trucks could schedule deliveries. Families could gamble on distance. Towns could advertise themselves to people they would never meet again. During World War II, Route 66 became a strategic corridor for troops, defense workers, trucks, and military-related production. The same pavement that carried migrants now carried mobilization. Tires, engines, uniforms, machine parts. Young men headed toward unknown oceans. War made the West feel closer to Washington. Federal power was no longer abstract. It was asphalt, contracts, barracks, paychecks. The National Park Service places Route 66's early national importance squarely in the years from 1926 through 1945. That window tells the real story. Route 66 became famous before neon made it cute, before souvenir maps flattened it into charm. Its first legend was not leisure. It was necessity. The road mattered because people needed it to work. Still, the roadside learned theater, giant shapes, bright paint, novelty architecture. A business had seconds to make a speeding driver stop. This is where the myth comes from, not from nowhere, but from commerce, trying to survive at 45 miles an hour. The official Centennial emphasizes preservation toolkits and grants, because many Route 66 places survive only through fragile local effort. A bridge rusts, a cafe roof leaks, a motel office becomes storage. History often disappears first as maintenance deferred one more winter. If you visit for the Centennial, consider stopping at local museums, not just photo spots. They usually hold the harder stories. Look for who is missing from the display. Native families, black motorists, women owners, Mexican-American workers, mechanics, cooks, cleaners. The road's fame can crowd out its people. Neon is easier to preserve than a waitress's sore feet after the midnight rush. And then came the bypass. Faster highways promise speed, safety, and efficiency. They also pulled oxygen away from old main streets. A town built for stopping can die when stopping becomes inconvenient. One exit can redirect a century of chance. That is the cruel bargain of American mobility. Movement creates opportunity, then moves again, leaving yesterday's winners behind. The 2026 Centennial includes a passport project, encouraging travelers to move deliberately through communities along the route. That kind of travel may help if it becomes more than collecting stamps. Buy lunch, pay admission, ask names, leave money locally. Route 66 was always made by small transactions. A tire patched, a bed rented, a sandwich wrapped, a tank filled. The Centennial's official materials frame Route 66 as a living corridor, not simply a preserved relic of roadside Americana. Living corridors argue. They remember unevenly. They sell T-shirts and hold funerals. They welcome guests and worry about rent. So when we say Route 66 is America, we should be careful. America is not one lane. It is contested traffic. The route's Centennial is officially marked in 2026, 100 years after its designation in the federal highway system. A birthday can become a mirror. What do we celebrate, the freedom to leave or the systems that forced leaving? The Dust Bowl traveler did not need a slogan. The defense worker did not need a postcard. They needed the road to hold. That is why Route 66 still hits. It turns motion into a question. Who gets to move? And who gets moved? If this story is your kind of history, a like or subscription helps keep these deeper road trips coming. Thank you for riding along. Before planning a trip, consider reading local histories for each stop. The famous route changes shape when towns speak for themselves. The official Centennial site directs travelers toward maps, events, preservation resources, and community programming across the historic corridor. Use those tools, but do not let the itinerary flatten the place. The best history usually waits 3 questions past the brochure. Ask about the old bridge. Ask who owned the cafe. Ask where travelers could not sleep. Ask what the bypass changed. The answers will not always fit the souvenir version. Good. Roads are not honest because they are pretty. Route 66's famous identity grew from real use. Migration in the Depression, economic development, tourism, and wartime traffic. That mixture is why the road refuses to stay simple. It was escape route, workplace, marketplace, military corridor, and memory machine. The America that learned to move also learned to measure worth by speed. Route 66 reminds us what speed can cost. It cost quiet streets. It cost homelands. It cost travelers dignity. It cost families the illusion that arrival meant safety. And still, it gave people something powerful, a direction. Sometimes erection is the first form hope takes. So in 2026, celebrate the neon. Eat the pie. Take the photograph. But listen for the older engine underneath. Route 66 is not just where America went. It is how America learned to become a nation of leaving. And every mile still asks the same question. When a country moves forward, who gets carried, and who gets left beside the road?